Okay everyone, in this next video we're going to go over changing question components. Out of the list of question components that we can use in the ADAPT framework, we are only going to be using one for this example, and that's the multiple choice question. So that's this one here. And what we can do with this multiple choice question component is we can change it so that they can select multiple answers or they can select one answer as the right answer. So there's two ways to do that. There's some other question components listed here like matching, slider, text input, and a graphical multiple choice component, but we won't be using any of those in this quiz today. So we want to go back to our files, and the only two files that we will be using for this piece is the content objects.json file and the components.json. And we already covered a little bit about the content objects.json, so here I won't cover anything really except that some of the things that you may want to change in here happen to be the title, display title 2, page body, and body. And inside of these quotes you can change some of the text that we have on that page of the quiz that's at the top in the header portion, and also the title. So what you can do is you can adjust those and then see how that changes. And another thing that I did in the command line, which will help you out a little bit, is I have grunt watch going. So if you type in, when you're in your directory of your rad quiz edited, if you type in grunt watch, what that is going to do, and hit enter, it's going to watch for any updates that you save to the quiz. So you can either do grunt build to build everything all over again, or you can do grunt watch, which will watch for any things that you save in your quiz. So the next part of this that we're going to go through is changing some of the quiz questions and different criteria around the quiz in the components.json. So go ahead and open the components.json file here, and we'll go through some of these different settings. And as you can see, this component is the quiz type that we have here, and we're not going to mess around with that. One of the things that you can change, however, is the layout. So right now we have each of the quiz questions stretching across the whole center of the quiz. So if I look here, it says center, and if I go to the quiz right here, you can see that it's stretched across the center. But if, say, I wanted to add another component to the right or left hand side in addition to the question, I could move this over to the left and then have something else to the right. So let's just see what that looks like. If I change this to, say, left, and then we have the grunt watch is watching that and reloading. And if I reload this, we can see that that question is there to the left and we have some extra space over here. So if we wanted to add something like, say, a screenshot or some sort of graphic or anything else that we want to add over here, basically, we could do that. But obviously this is a one-page quiz and we don't have any graphics for this one, so I'm going to keep it at center. And you can always go back to ADAPT's GitHub and see all the different settings that you can change for the layout. The piece underneath it is attempts, so you can change this to as many attempts as you'd like your user to be able to try this question at. The question weight we have set other places and it's also 1, so I'm going to keep that at 1. Some of these other things I just have set default false because we don't need them. And then is random true means that all the answers are going to be randomly sorted. So if you want things to appear in order, then you need to change is random to false, and they'll appear in the order that you will have listed below. You can change the title, the display title, and just play around with the title and display title to get it to be how you want it to be, the body, and then the instruction. And this piece is another piece that we may want to change, is the instruction, because if you look up here, we have selectable equal to to 4, so that means they can select up to 4 of the answers. It's not going to be just 1, it's going to be 4. So you want to change the instruction to be choose 1 if we only have selectable as 1. So for this one, we just have it choose 1 or more options and select submit. And then below that, you can see the items. So the items here are the different items that they can select from, so the answers they can select from. And you can see this one's true, this one's true, this one's true, and this one's false. And they'll appear in a random order because we have the random up here changed to true. So what will happen is anything marked true here are going to be the correct answers. So in order for them to get this right, they have to select all 3 of these, and then it will mark them as getting it right. But say they select this false one too, it's going to give them the wrong answer. And then below that, we also have our feedback. So we have correct feedback, partly correct, and incorrect. The partly correct will come up for those questions where it's possible to get it partially correct. So it would be something like if you have many that are selectable versus 1, that's something that can come up. So that just depends on different things. So I will change that based on that. And then correct, you want to put what the correct answer is, and then incorrect, you can put what the incorrect answer is. In the next part of this video, let's go over changing a quiz question that has 4 selectable answers to one that has only 1 selectable answer. And we're going to start at this top one here that has the ID of C90. And what I want to do, the first thing that I want to do is change this selectable from 4. And let's go ahead and look at what it looks like right now. We can select all 4 here on this first one. We want to change that just to 1. So in order to have it just have 1 answer and have them only be able to select 1 answer, we want to change that to 1. And then you always have to remember, if you're going to change that, you should probably change the instruction as well. So we're going to say choose 1 option and select submit. Now that we have that, we also need to change the items. We can only have 1 of these be true, or else it's not going to work properly. And I'm going to pick the top one here because these are going to be random anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to keep the top one as true and change everything else that's labeled true to false, because we can only have 1 selected as true for this. And then another piece of this is, and I just took the true off of this text here just because I have it set in the text so I know what to select to test it. But another piece of this is maybe you want to add more than 4 choices for them. So what I want to do in order to add another choice is select from this curly bracket to this closing curly bracket here with the comma and copy that. And then I can add that in and paste that in there. So then I would have 5 possible choices to choose from. So I can either take those away or I can add more choices for them. And the one thing that you really want to pay attention to here is that after the closing curly bracket, there is this little comma here. So up until the last one, you want to have a comma because that's going to tell it that, you know, there's more coming after it. But on the last one, there's not going to be a comma. So you have to really pay close attention to that because it may not work if you accidentally forget the comma or put the comma in at the end one. So that's very important. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and then I'm going to reload my quiz to see if my changes changed it to a selectable of 1 and added that extra option in there. I'm going to refresh. And if I scroll down, you can see that I can choose only 1, and there's no longer that option to be able to choose multiple. In the next video, I'm going to go over adding more questions and also taking questions away.